Ready? The longer we take, the worse it gets. Let's go.
All right, let's go.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah. All right. So.
Hey guys, welcome to House 317. I'm your host Rodney, joined by permanent roommates Josh, Brandon. We're here again. This time we're here to talk about the movie The Batman. Guys, it was DC, but yes, it was good. It was very good. We'll do final grades at the end of the video, but let's jump
grades at the end.
At the end of the video. So
at the beginning.
Well, we like to switch it up every once in a while. Switch
locations. Might as well switch it up.
This is fair. This is fair. So, guys, this movie had so much. Can you focus, please? Can you focus?
No, I can't.
Focus. Anticipation for this movie was pretty high
For me.
It was pretty high for.
I feel like you two were like.
I know. Well, it's because
Batman.
we had already seen like 17 different Batmans. I was hoping we weren't gonna get a rehash of the initial star. Yeah, the story. Yeah.
Why did you say that name?
And I was just like, please don't make me go through this all over again. Which the movie did well. They just go ahead and set it up as he's been Batman for 2 years. He's been getting into his character. He's still a young guy, but he's getting into it. So initially, guys, we are jumping into just a different feeling for this Batman. Josh, what were your thoughts on? Let's talk about first the visualization of this movie, the way that. From an artist perspective, this is you and Brandon, because this is not my element, but how that movie was just visually amazing. So let's talk about that.
It was art.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of comic book movie is, DC versus Marvel. And if this is one thing that we want to pit against Marvel, is this was like art compared to the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
This, every shot felt so intentional.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So beautiful. Lighting was amazing. Like the shots on where you can see Gotham, whether it was just him and Gordan or him and Selena, just so well done. Just there's one thing I love about this movie, like that bumps it higher and higher, is just the way it was shot and the way that it was lit. We can talk about the score with it. Just
the score was good.
Everything just flowed.
Yeah.
And just fit. It was beautiful.
Brandon, but what about you? What did you think about it?
So same thing overall, but the things that really caught my eye were the practical shots. So well done, and like Josh mentioned, from the artistic approach, even from the car chase scene and how some of the roles were, how the camera worked with the roles. There was just so many different styles of shots being taken that just blew me away with the amount of detail they went into. But even the practical effects and how it made things feel even more realistic. Like in Marvel, they kind of push things to being the obvious, like it is make-believe, and all that. But this made it feel extremely realistic.
And it kind of goes along with the character. It's Batman. He doesn't have superpowers.
Yeah.
It's just
exactly.
So no. I love the piece that I love the most that I think they did on purpose was the light shining in the audience face all the time to give you like like the bat kind of situation.
Okay.
There was at least I counted 3 where they just shined the light in the audience face, and that was really cool just to kind of get a sense to how Bruce feels when he's in walking around as Bruce.
There were a couple
Wayne.
times where when he's with Alfred, like. As he's just Bruce in the mansion, which isn't really that bright.
Right.
He's like putting sunglasses on.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, he is. He had taken on that Batman persona all the way. He was 99.99% Batman, 0.1% Bruce at that point.
I don't even think he was 0.1% Bruce. I think he was all Batman.
Yeah, like at all times.
Well, that's the thing. Like, they had that meeting with I don't know if it was investors, kind of
accountants. Yep.
We didn't even see that.
Right.
No, we didn't see any of that.
Yeah, so it's not even like we barely saw any Bruce, which I'm okay with the way the story was told. Made total sense. Like it just, I mean, you you go into a Batman movie thinking you're going to get Bruce, you're going to get these nightlife type moments, but this was just...
Yeah, this was Batman all the way.
It was different because in other movies, whether it's the Christian Bale or Michael Keaton, whatever it is, you have the billionaire playboy piece
it's
to
like
it.
50-50.
Yeah, it was 50-50, and this was just Batman. Like, legit, it was Batman all the time. Even when he was Bruce Wayne, he was Bruce Wayne detective versus Bruce Wayne billionaire.
He was always just sitting there, just searching, observing.
It was so good.
Notes.
So good. It was really good. So moving on to our favorite scenes. Josh, I am I know 100% what your favorite scene was.
Most favorite,
but I know it was so good. So let's.
I don't know. I might be different than you.
I'm gonna start with Brandon first. Brandon, what was your favorite scene of the movie? Because there were a lot of just, again, cinematography was great. But what was your favorite scene?
All right, so I'm going to say these are my top two, and I'm one of them I'm deliberately, or my third one I'm not going to mention because I know it's yours.
Yeah.
Okay, keep
I
going.
have top two too.
Yeah. Anyways, so I loved the end fight scene with his reveal, him coming into. Oh, come on, that was yours.
That was my number two.
Oh, okay. Well, then we can share that.
Although I do want to talk about that with issues with it.
Yeah,
but still amazing.
Yeah, like that
the
whole
bomb or the explosion and him dropping down.
Oh yeah, all that just.
Yeah, that was my number two.
That was good. Not to mention the little adrenaline shot there, which we'll get into that in a little bit. There's some things there, I think. Yeah. But no, I think the one for me, because it was just out of nowhere. Like, everything was so serious. The whole movie is very serious, which is great. There's not really a lot of comedy in there, except for one particular spot. And homie should have been out when he hit that bridge.
That was pretty rough. Yeah. He had his Spider-Man moment where, like, my back.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He couldn't really move
he
right.
He now has an my back moment.
Yeah, he does.
It was a very, we're talking about the escape from Gotham City Police with the Batwing suit. And how awesome that was. And all of a sudden, he hits the bridge where you feel like...
Yeah.
That's the movie.
That's the movie. That's
roll
it.
Credits.
Yeah. Roll the credits.
Yeah.
This is leading into my follow-up question for you guys. To me, we kind of we didn't know who the big bad was, really. Like,
wait, do I get my favorite scene?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, let's do your favorite scene, Josh. I'm so sorry.
I'm going to say most everybody's favorite scene. It's a part of yours. But before I say that, with the reveal at the end, with them coming through the stadium, awesome. The one thing I'm like, that would probably kill quite a few people below.
Yeah, you think about all the shattering glass.
That's a lot of shards, massive shards of glass.
Kill count in that moment would have been astronomical.
At least 10. I'm going to say at least 10.
No, I'm going to say a lot more.
Maybe some critically injured, but other than that, it was awesome.
Heavily maimed.
No, I think we can all say it was the Batmobile chase scene with the Penguin.
Yes.
So good.
Part of me so mad, like with Spider-Man, like we got to the point of the trailer, waiting for the trailer so much that we were talking about, like, I really wish they don't even show a trailer. I just want to go in fresh. I almost, after seeing the movie, I wish that's how it would have gone in, because you get the shot, basically the money shot of him coming through the flames.
Yeah.
I wish I would have seen that for the first time, in the theater. Even knowing it was about to happen, I was still fired up.
They do that often, where they kind of just spoil the best part.
And it's not even like it's not a big deal, but just the way that throughout the movie. I'm going to bring this up later too, but throughout the movie, or at least the beginning of the movie, it was talked about how he works in the shadows, and that's how the Batmobile was revealed, was in the shadows. Revving up the engine. I'm like, it's about to go down.
That thing sounded so mean.
God, the whole chase scene. And I think somebody else had said it, but like, it felt like the Batmobile was just a separate character.
A little bit. Like, that thing was a monster.
This is the Tumbler in the Bell series was awesome. I have issues with the Ben Affleck movies, so I can't really talk about that movie or any part of that movie without being biased towards it. I just don't like them. But this Batmobile is by far my favorite.
It has a feel of like Alfred and Bruce put it together themselves.
It just feels like like two guys in a shop. You make a little machine.
That's right.
Maybe it has a big jet engine on the back. Maybe
and there was a shot of the Batcave like having auto parts just all over the place.
So that just gave me chills and like fired me up. I'm like on the edge of my seat, like waiting for stuff to go down, and the shot where he actually ends up, making the Penguin crash, and you get that skid, and the camera's basically on the wheel.
Exactly.
And you see Penguin. Just that shot of
that was a great shot.
Man, how's he still alive?
Oh no! Kidding.
Anyways,
no kidding.
How's Batman still alive?
Fair
point.
Fair.
That's why it's still a comic book movie.
Yeah, I mean, like,
whether it's grounded in reality to a certain aspect. I mean, this is like a graphic novel. This reminded me of like a Spawn.
Oh, come on, you scream like a girl. Do it like this.
Not Spawn type movie, but a graphic novel sense.
Exactly.
Where,
So through this movie, we had this riddle that we didn't really know who the rat was. And so the Riddler kind of put out a little seed trail there for us, where at the end, we're trying to figure out who this rat is. The rat was this persona that needed to go because they were the ones that were exposing all of this corruption and all this other stuff going on. And so it kind of gave us a sense that we didn't know who the big bad was, right? We knew that the Riddler was,
Penguin.
You had the Penguin,
right.
you had Riddler, Falcone, Maroni.
Yeah,
you just didn't know. You had the district attorney. You had all these people that were involved, and you kind of hit them one at a time. So tell me a little bit about your thoughts on all of the villains. Which one was your favorite? Did you feel, because I left the movie feeling like this was a little Saw-ish, like the Saw movies, the way that they portrayed the Riddler. Maybe Zodiac, if y'all have watched that movie. And so that's the feeling I got. I was like, I've seen this. So what are y'all's thoughts on the Riddler? We'll start with Josh and the Penguin. I like the Penguin.
Yeah, so if I'm like comparing the two of them, it's hard to say Penguin just because I feel like this is... Do they even reference him as the Penguin at one point? They do?
Okay. Yeah.
I don't feel like he's like a villain yet.
Yeah.
Like he's like...
He's an opportunist.
And he's not even like a big mob boss at this moment. Maybe by the end of the movie where he sees his chance. So it's hard to say there's like a side villain type thing, but not really. Because you have conversations. I mean, Batman has legit like a sit-down conversation with him. Minus the you have the chase scene, but I love Paul Dano as the Riddler. I thought he did great. The Riddler's a weird character to put into film. I mean, we only have if you count the series with Adam West, even that Riddler, which I mean that TV series was campy anyway, but it was part of the times.
What's that? Holy showcase! A sheet of bulletproof glass!
But then you have Jim Carrey's portrayal of the Riddler, and it's like this was just like a 180.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing.
He wasn't a comical Riddler. He wasn't
silly. Yeah, it wasn't silly at all.
He was very methodical.
Yeah, and I think it works. It works for this movie. It works for this universe of this story of Batman. I think it's just a hard villain to
put on screen,
to put in the middle. Not saying that it should have been in between, Paul Dano's and Jim Carrey's, but I think it's a hard villain to portray in a movie, and I thought they did a great job. Like I enjoyed the Saw aspect. It made it scary.
Like when it's at the funeral scene and he's got the device over his neck.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was a bomb at first either. I thought it was just like that guy's about to just get his head knocked off.
It started with the opening scene. Wasn't Batman like straight up Riddler? I mean, you're thinking it's Batman because he's
watching,
scoping something out.
Right,
but just a haunting opening scene.
Oh yeah, and I love how he was his own narrator. as well. That was a nice little tie-in piece.
Part of the journal.
It kind of brings you into his world quicker without as much setup needed.
Yeah, and we talk about humor too. And you talk about the Riddler, how the Riddler is not really like a fun, he's more sadistic type. But he does have a sense of humor. I mean, the thumb drive.
That was pretty good.
Well,
that was very good.
I mean,
that was very good.
It's just a dark sense of humor.
Right.
And it worked. Like, I mean, you can talk about, Falcone. I thought he did a great job. John, starts with a T. I can't remember the actor's name. I thought he did a great job.
Yeah. He usually plays like a silly role, so he did.
Yeah.
He did great.
Yeah.
So, Brandon, your favorite villain-ish?
I would say Paul. I mean, I don't have a favorite. Like, is Paul or is the Riddler and Penguin? But it's hard to kind of say Penguin just because.
Yeah. I agree with Josh. Penguin was definitely more of a side character. Granted, he always kind of has been to a degree. He's never been.
That's fair.
With the exception of a few versions of him where they up him a little bit. But this is a very more practical Penguin.
Well done to Colin Farrell. You can't even tell.
You cannot tell
right?
that is him.
Like, dude.
And he's not a cartoonish dude that looks like a penguin.
Right.
Danny DeVito style.
Right. He's got a big nose. That's all.
Yeah, a little scar, but
Yeah.
I do think it's funny because, like, in the comics and in the old TV show, like, he always had like a cigarette that was attached to, I'm not sure what they're called, like one of those long pipes or whatever. He had like a nice little scar.
It almost feels like a wand or whatever.
He had like a nice little scar right across his face, and that's what it reminded me of. I don't know if that was intentional, but that's what it kind of reminded me of.
Might have been.
Because he always talked like outside of his mouth.
Yeah, for sure.
I used to love that show. So.
Yeah, that's fair.
It was a good show. I may
old.
have stayed home
I'm old.
a couple of days just to watch that.
Price is Right.
Came up at 8:30. Oh yes. So in all of our videos, we talk about the humanity piece to it. There was two here that really highlighted the story. So you have the Riddler's piece in that he was a forensic what are they called? Forensic accountant. And he was kind of an orphan child, finding his way, felt just kind of abandoned by society, blamed Thomas Wayne for a lot of what happened to him and where it set him up. And then you have Bruce and that orphan side of it. So you have two orphans that you're comparing side to side. One ends up in the side of good, because Batman is always riding that line, and then the other one is definitely just trying to create chaos and expose in his way the good, right? Because he is trying to bring out all this corruption out of the city in a more negative light than one could argue Batman was, although Batman does it in mysterious ways. And so tell me a little bit about those two narratives and why we feel for the Riddler in some capacities. In that, when they tell us that he's an orphan and that he's been going through all these pieces and he blames Thomas Wayne about it. Tell me a little bit about that story, why we feel so connected to him, even though I think the movie wants to pair us Bruce Wayne and the Riddler together. Tell me a little bit about that, and why that's important to the story.
Well, I mean, it's like you gotta have a little bit of sympathy. Like, all right, well, you don't want to just introduce a villain. They're the bad guy, and that's all you get to know about him. Is just like they just hate life. In a classic Joker fashion, you just want to see the world burn. Mm-hmm. There's always something that leads them to that, and getting the understanding of that helps you understand how they got to be who they are. Yeah. And that's what, in my opinion, makes it more of a realistic villain. Yeah. Versus like, oh, here's this guy who's just coming in and blowing
They connected them. They connected them because both characters are trying to do good. It's just the Riddler is doing it differently. He sees this corruption in Gotham and wants to expose it for what it is, versus this charade that really was being portrayed in the news, which is then being portrayed to everyone else, that all these people are trying to create change, etc. And so he's trying to expose all of that, which is good, right? But the way he does it is not the right way. Yeah. Much like how Batman is a vigilante. He doesn't do it the cop way, the cop-friendly way through justice or whatever. He takes justice into his own hands. And so both of them align. There's a parallel to both of them.
There is, but then here's where the separation comes in, is in the final scene. And you see that moment kind of switch in Batman's head, where like there's that final.
What I wanted to bring up,
there's that he's just wailing on the guy after he took what I'm calling his Bane juice.
Yeah, can we talk about that real quick?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But that guy comes in and he says, "I am vengeance," and you can kind of see Batman going like, "Well, that's what I've done this whole time, but like you took it there. Okay, I can't do that." And and of course, like this is kind of his coming into the Batman that he's going to be kind of moment, and he sums that up with his narration.
There's a threshold that the Riddler crosses that Batman's unwilling to cross.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to bring up earlier was it comes full circle in this movie for Batman. I'm not gonna say Bruce. It comes full circle for Batman. At the beginning, through narration, he's talking about how the Gotham in general fears him, fears the shadow. You get multiple shots in like this montage type feel of criminals looking in the shadow thinking something's about to come out. Batman's about to come out. Vengeance is coming, and then by the end of it he turns into instead of a fear of Gotham, a fear of Gotham, he turns into a beacon of light, literally, for the people of Gotham. So he turns from just vengeance.
Yeah, that whole visual with him
vengeance
walking through the water like that, like absolutely.
So
that was beautifully done.
In a sense, and it reminds me a little bit of the MCU Spider-Man, Far From Home when it first started. Like we didn't really get an origin story per se. We didn't get the Uncle Ben moment, or whether or not Uncle Ben is alive in the MCU. We didn't get that moment, and we didn't get that moment in it wasn't a legit origin story.
Right.
We're 2 years in, but he's still in the mindset of just vengeance, and that's all it was. And so you get that full circle moment of him turning into hope for Gotham, and not just the vigilante.
And I wonder if some of that goes into him understanding some of his actual history, like why his parents were killed, how all that came full circle. So he, in a sense, he kind of lost his sense of vengeance.
Yeah.
Like all right, now he knows the truth. So what does he have to go after now? Because he's not going to take vengeance out on his own dad for everything that's come apart. So I think that helped in his growth.
Yeah.
So we know that this movie we think we know it's going to be a trilogy.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure I've read a couple of pieces out there that there's trilogy set up, and there's HBO Max pieces that are tied to the Penguin.
Yeah, I heard about the Penguin stuff.
The Penguin pieces. And so the movie sets him up to be the new Falcone, essentially, taking over that piece. And certainly the nightclub and having the elite still being there and running his show through Gotham via the Penguin now instead of Falcone. Falcone just felt that felt slimy, and so but that was fine. That's what it intended to do. So what do we want to see? So I'm gonna go to Bane Juice.
Well, I was gonna say I think we should mention because we haven't brought up Selena, Catwoman. Thought Zoë Kravitz did.
She did fantastic.
Yeah. The one thing I want to, when it comes to Catwoman, and it felt a little rushed in their
little relationship.
Yeah, kissed all of a sudden, and I wanted a little bit more fleshed out with them.
Yeah,
that character always teases that. So you never know.
Yeah, I know.
She's always a little flirty.
She teases and she plays with people, manipulates, and so I felt to me that felt more manipulative than actual romance.
Really?
She wanted him by her side so that she can continue to masquerade as Catwoman and just steal from the rich. And so she saw him as an ally, not necessarily as
I think I just wanted more Zoë Kravitz because she just did.
She did fantastic.
And Gordan, I can't remember the actor's name, but Jim Gordon was.
Yeah, he's also in a couple of the Hunger Games. He's
plays in an HBO series. Westwood.
West Side.
Nope, just kidding. Cool, no worries. And so
him and Batman in the police station.
That was good. That was
It was
good.
great.
You could have held
I
back.
want you to
held
do-
back.
I did.
Is I want you to punch me in the face.
I did hold back.
It was good. It was really good. So overall, transitioning this movie over into HBO Max, what do we feel, particularly with the end credit scene, not really end credit scene, but the end of the movie, where do we feel like this is going? They gave us a little taste of the new Joker. So let's start with Brandon.
It's a tease of him. I mean, we know, obviously, you can't have Batman without the Joker. He's going to have to play a role at some point. But I kind of hope they don't jump to him right away.
Yeah.
I really do.
If this,
I hope
if this is a trilogy.
If it's a trilogy, I hope he ends up being the last piece of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see some of these other characters that haven't been widely used in the space, like Bane, which I thought was done well in the Christian Bale series. I think with this darker series, I think we could see more of the Bane that we would have thought would have come into play.
Jack Bane.
So I've heard.
Yeah.
I mean, there were rumors
Because
about-
like, of course, in Bale, Bane wasn't really Bane like we know him.
Right.
And of course, I think it's Bane juice. I think that's something he gets, and so on and so forth.
It definitely had that green feel to it, venom juice feel to it. Yeah.
I mean, there have been rumors about like the Night of Owls or the Court of Owls.
Court of
being-
Owls, yeah.
I don't know a whole lot about that, so I'm kind of interested. I'm
That would
hoping
be-
they go like if we are going the Joker route, which I hope we do. I hope it's the third movie, but if in the second movie, I hope it's something not obscure, but enough where enough people know about it. I hope it's not Bane, or I hope it's not just straight Penguin. Like I hope it's I mean MCU can do it with Guardians and
Like
Ant-Man.
build the universe a little bit in that Batman
yeah,
world.
yeah.
And the Court of Owls has to do with the founding families of Gotham. So they talk about the Arkhams and the Waynes being two of those founding families.
Yeah.
And Bruce's mother being an Arkham.
They kind of
so they tease that out.
yeah.
And so I think we could go into a Court of Owls kind of situation, which was brought up in the comics. What's the series called? Hush series, which they kind of pulled a little bit from for this movie. So they could go that direction. That would be an amazing direction to go to. Final thoughts. Final thoughts and a grade. We'll start with Josh.
Okay, so I'm gonna start off by saying that this is after first view, so I know there's recency bias in this. I'd love to see it again, and I am seeing it again next weekend with my brother-in-law, which I'm really excited about.
Nice.
But man, I'm gonna say it. Like I think he's my favorite Batman.
Ooh. Okay.
I really legit do. Like I wasn't actually nervous for him being Batman. Like I know there was a lot of people kind of dissing this casting.
Mm-hmm.
He played this part so well.
Yeah. To be fair, the last one we got was Ben Affleck. So
No, I'm even saying over Christian Bale. Like
Okay.
this movie, and the director Matt Reeves, what they pulled off, like it was a detective movie, and that's what in the core of Batman, that's what it is, and it just played out so well. And yes, as a Batman, he's my favorite.
Ooh.
I'm not gonna say this is my favorite Batman movie because Dark Knight still holds that threshold, and it's basically because of Heath Ledger. Like I feel like that can't be touched. It's just if it's like Dark Knight and then the Batman right under it.
Yeah.
Like 1A, 1B.
That's fair.
But
That's
overall grade, I'm gonna say B plus, possibly A minus. Like I want to see it again, and I've heard it's even better, like a second viewing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, yeah.
My favorite
like,
Batman character.
You watch it the first time,
Yeah,
you're
that's
just
great.
taking it all in. The second time, you're looking for stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like with Christian Bale's Batman, like it was. I love that movie. I'm not a huge fan of The Dark Knight Rises. Like I felt a little disappointed with that movie. I enjoyed his Batman. I thought his Bruce was better
Fantastic.
than this, but we didn't really get to see Bruce in this
Yeah.
movie. But yeah, I'm just gonna say it. Yeah, Rob Pattinson is my favorite Batman.
Whew. All right, Brandon. What's the final thoughts and grade, please, sir?
Yeah, so I'm going to start off with the grade. I'm going to give it a B plus. It's not an A. There's a couple of things in there which I was being a little nitpicky about, but again, I want to watch it again to kind of weigh those options out a little bit. To me, I think the missing component to me, and it took me a couple of days to kind of figure out what was missing, but I kind of missed not seeing Bruce Wayne, because again, it was like you said, the whole time he was Batman. So you get this very dark Bruce who's walking around, being the detective, everything else. You never really get that billionaire.
But you get Bruce.
Style of
you get Bruce and
You don't
Alfred.
get the I bought the hotel.
Yeah,
You get this
you
great
get a little
moment of Bruce and Alfred and him.
Yes, I mean, but all that was there, but everything was always so serious. I don't know, like there were just moments in there where I'm like, I wish I would have seen a little bit more of Bruce to connect with that part of his character. But I like Batman, pristine, awesome, loved it, all that. But
he's a little naive too. So like he's young. Like the dude is young. He's a young version of Batman. There's that one scene with Falcone where Falcone just spins him a lie, and he just
him
eats
as
it.
Bruce.
As Bruce, and he just eats it up, and just is
And
mad
then
at his parents.
confronts Alfred.
Alfred, yes, and you've lied to me this whole time. No, I had
And
not.
Alfred's like, shut your face.
Yes, that's
It's
right.
just like,
That's
you
right.
don't know what happened.
Yeah.
So
No, that was we didn't talk about how awesome Alfred was.
It was great.
he did pretty good. He did pretty good. He didn't have a lot of screen time, but he did well.
You mean Alfred the Butler with 2 T's?
So for me, overall, I gave it a B plus as well. I think my only gripe, it was a really good movie, and I know we give DC a ton of junk on this channel, but they really did a good job. My only gripe, finally, thank you, finally. It's Batman. You've always done a pretty good job with Batman, other than Ben Affleck Batman, and you've done a good job with Superman. But anyways, B plus. My only gripe was the Riddler and the Saw feeling I had with it. I just didn't like the scary aspect of it. But that's just me. Overall, good movie. Go out and watch it. It was great. If you have a question or if you have a difference of opinion, leave us a comment in the comment section of the video. Hit that thumb button and give us a like. And as always, subscribe. You guys take care of each other, and peace.